Good evening and welcome back to Carlin tonight. Tonight we're revealing a long con, one so blatant it's almost impressive. We have the Republican Party led by Donald Trump promising relief on grocery prices. Yet when pressed for even a single piece of legislation to achieve that relief, their response is nothing short of pure word salad. No plan, no results, just more political theater. And how do we know? Because House Speaker Mike Johnson was asked the simplest question about bringing down grocery costs, and his answer was painfully empty. Meanwhile, we have new rhetoric from Trump, reminiscent of a grand, stirring speech, words about being a defender of democracy, about emerging from the people, and about delivering something clean and true and refreshing. But behind the poetic mask lies the same old broken promise. No direct action to lower your bills. No plan to ease the strain on working families. So let's break down the hypocrisy piece by piece. First, let's look at how Republican leadership responded to a direct question on grocery prices. Mike Johnson was cornered with, "Is there a real single bill targeting the cost of food?" His reply?
Is there, bottom line, one piece of legislation targeted at bringing down grocery prices for the American consumer?
It's a complex collection of legislation because we got to unwind and fix everything. I was on the campaign trail all last year, traveling around the country. I logged enough miles to circle the globe 5.5 times. We kept the House majority, we won the Senate majority for the Republican Party, and we won the White House. And we told the American people that we would do well by them. And what I said on the campaign trail was, to summarize, we could be the most consequential Congress of the modern era because we have to fix everything. I mean, everything's a mess. So it's not just one switch that you flip back on. It's a number of them, and we have to make it all work together, and we will.
He talks about circling the globe 5 times on the campaign trail about how everything needs fixing but never addresses the question. It's the perfect metaphor for what the GOP's grocery price talk was all along. Rhetoric to get votes and then vanish into excuse-laden spin once in power. They just sailed into the sunset, didn't they? They promised to relieve the burden on your wallets. They hammered Joe Biden and the Democrats for failing consumers, but now they can't even get a single bill. Why? Because just admit, they never cared about your grocery bill to begin with. This isn't new. Donald Trump famously campaigned on lowering grocery prices, claiming skyrocketing costs were the fault of Democrats. He whipped up fear and anger, successfully, I might add. But watch now how he quickly drops the concern now that he's in office. Let's hear him in his own words.
I won on 2 things, the border, and more than immigration. You know, they like to say immigration. I break it down more to the border, but I won on the border and I won on groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries. Like almost, you know, who uses the word? I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
He explicitly says, "I won on groceries." Then the minute he's asked, "So, are we getting a new law, a new program, a fix?" we hear nothing. Not a single serious measure to reduce costs, crack down on price gouging, or limit middlemen profiteering. It's the same story all over again. Now here's where the new rhetoric kicks in. Trump and his allies basically declaring that they are not demagogues and that they hope to bring something clean once in this polluted land. Something not grubby with compromise, but something proud and pure. Stirring stuff, right? But do those lofty words match reality? Not when the GOP can't even muster a single bill to address your day-to-day struggles. They pontificate about democracy and pride, yet they ignore the simplest priority, helping Americans afford their weekly grocery bills. So much for clean and true. And if you're thinking that this is familiar, it's because we've seen it all before. The last time Republicans held unified power was back in 2017. Back then they promised an infrastructure boom, a manufacturing renaissance, a middle-class tax cut. None of it happened. But what did happen was a $1 trillion tax windfall for millionaires and billionaires. The same crowd that invests in GOP campaigns reaps the benefits. You get left in the dust. Now the administration is littered with billionaires who treat your cost of living concerns like afterthoughts. So much for grocery prices and caring for the everyday man, huh? Now they're renaming Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which they did successfully. Meanwhile, the party's slick speechwriters craft these rousing addresses about defending democracy, about purity and leadership, emerging from the people. But watch what they do in their actual moves. Right? More tariffs threatening higher produce costs, more corporate giveaways, more empty talk about helping the middle class with zero follow-through. Now, I'm not here to claim the Democrats are perfect either. But if you want a real plan to tackle price gouging, you'll find it in proposals from people like Kamala Harris or Tim Walz, who talk about capping food retailer markups. It's not just with a magic wand, but at least it's a direct approach, unlike the GOP's big honking pile of nothing. Inflation isn't just random. Often it's exploited by big corporations to hike prices further than necessary. If Republicans truly cared, think about it, if Republicans truly cared about your day-to-day costs and everyday life, they join in efforts to pass anti-gouging laws. Instead, they demonize any attempt to regulate unscrupulous middlemen. The same middlemen who inflate your bacon prices and meat prices and vegetable prices and egg prices, might I add, all while farmers barely break even. Then there's the myth of trickle-down economics. Ronald Reagan cut the top tax rate, promising the gains would trickle down to you. That was 40 years ago. Over 40 years ago, by the way. And income inequality has ballooned ever since. Funny how that works out. The wealthy soared to record fortunes, while the rest of us just waited for drops that never came. And now the new crop of billionaires in Trump's orbit, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Charles Kushner, and so on, get to shape policy. Are we really expecting them to champion working-class Americans over their own wealth? If so, I've got a lovely oceanfront property in Nebraska to sell you. Let's be absolutely clear. This was a con. A blatant, methodical con. They hammered the public with the fear of grocery prices, weaponized it against Democrats, and now that they've won with your vote, they quietly dropped the issue. One might say it was never about you. It was about power. They talk about a leader brought forth by the virtue of the combined wisdom of the good people of this republic, and not something grubby with compromise. But for all that fancy talk, they refuse to do the gritty work of policy that actually helps your family. They promise pure leadership, but deliver pure inaction. Ever heard Trump brag about hitting Canada or Mexico with tariffs if they don't comply with his demands? Tariffs that lead to retaliatory strikes. That's how you end up paying more for fruits, vegetables, nuts, and basic ingredients. So ironically, you could see grocery prices climb even higher under these saviors of yours. And yes, they know this. They know it, I know it, you know it. And just as they knew focusing on grocery prices was a winning campaign tactic, he knew it was potent. He leveraged your frustration. Then once in office, he shrugs and moves on. That's the moral bankruptcy behind the show. They exploit your pain to get elected, and then vanish when it comes time to deliver. Why aren't we seeing outrage coverage across every major news network? Why isn't the mainstream media doing any hammering them, or hammering them about their promise to fix high prices? Because the mainstream media loves the spectacle of the campaign trail, the horse race, the fiery speeches about clean leadership. Once the election dust settles, though, reporters pivot to the next story. Meanwhile, the everyday bills that weigh you down get brushed aside. But not here. Here we're going to hold them accountable. For 4 long years, 8 if it takes that, I'll be reminding viewers that the GOP vowed to reduce grocery prices and then produced zip. No wonder they pivot to the wedge issues. It's easier than explaining why grocery prices still cost a fortune, right? Now to those in power, let me borrow a line from that rousing rhetoric you so love to play by. Don't we long sometimes for something clean, once in this polluted land? Huh? Something proud and pure? You use those words to paint yourself as a savior, but how about we apply them to your governance? How about a clean, single piece of legislation that directly helps struggling families at the checkout line? Or is that too grubby with compromise for you? Americans deserve leaders who do more than talk poetically. We deserve a Congress that doesn't vanish on issues once the votes are tallied. And if you're tired of being scammed by this long con, it's time to speak up and loudly. Demand real laws against price gouging. Demand accountability for empty promises. Let them know that your memory doesn't reset just after Election Day. So thank you for spending these moments with me. If you found value in this takedown of the GOP's grocery price con, you're ready for more fearless coverage that the mainstream media won't give you. Now please subscribe to my channel. We're on a mission to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of February, and every voice like yours counts in this media revolution. Let's hold the leaders to their words. Let's expose the poetic rhetoric for what it is, a distraction from real-world solutions. And together we can shine a light on broken promises and demand better for ourselves and our families. Again, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time. Stay strong, stay informed, and never settle for empty speeches over real action.